Imagine it is 2 in the morning in Portland.
Oh man, the worst time to be awake.
Right. And it is pouring rain. I mean, the kind of heavy, relentless Pacific Northwest rain that just totally cuts right through your windshield wipers.
Yeah, where the road just turns into a slick black mirror.
Exactly. You are exhausted, you just want to be in your own bed, but there is this glaring, terrifying light on your dashboard.
Let me guess, 0%.
Your EV battery just hit absolute zero. So the cabin heater dials back, the throttle just goes totally unresponsive, and you coast to a halt in some dark, isolated industrial park. You are completely stuck.
And you're probably freezing too.
Oh, absolutely freezing. But here is the real kicker. You are parked exactly where your navigation screen told you to go.
Oh, that is brutal.
Right. The public charger you were absolutely banking on, the one the app swore was functional just 20 minutes ago, has an out-of-order sign just, duct taped over the shattered screen.
Or the cable's just lying in a puddle.
Yeah, looking like it was backed over by a delivery truck.
I mean, that screen on your dashboard is essentially gaslighting you at that point, right? Telling you that salvation is 0 feet away while you sit there freezing in the dark.
Totally.
It is a very specific 21st century kind of helplessness. Because the vehicle you are sitting in is, well, it's a marvel of modern engineering.
Right. It can drive itself on the highway.
Exactly. Processing millions of lines of code a second. And yet, it has been completely neutralized by a severed piece of copper wire and a broken touchscreen.
It is total panic. And that exact panic is why we are here today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are unpacking a fascinating stack of marketing and operational strategy notes from a company called PortlandMobileEVCharging.com.
Which is such an interesting case study.
It really is.
Yeah.
They are a 24/7 mobile EV rescue service operating out in the Portland and Vancouver area. And our mission today is to explore the hidden anxieties, the infrastructure gaps, and honestly, the predatory pitfalls of the modern EV landscape through their lens.
Yeah, and what's so striking about reading through these materials, especially the ones they label as, like, episodes 4 through 9 in their strategy guide, is that they don't read like standard advertisements at all.
No, not at all.
They read like a survival guide for what is essentially the Wild West phase of electric vehicle adoption.
Right. They are completely capitalizing on the brutal reality of the Pacific Northwest charging infrastructure. So before we get into how this company actually rescues people, we really need to establish why they need rescuing in the first place.
The no charger reality.
Exactly, the no charger reality. Because the documents lay out some agonizing pain points that drivers are running into constantly out there.
The reality on the ground in Portland right now is what industry insiders are calling an urban charging desert.
Which sounds crazy for Portland, right?
It does. Because the assumption for a lot of people looking at EVs from the outside is that it's just a one-to-one replacement for getting gas. You know, you look at a map, you see a station, you drive there, you plug in, and you leave.
But the strategy notes expose this massive delta between the theoretical infrastructure on your smartphone app and the physical reality in a rainstorm.
Yeah, we're talking about broken plugs in Vancouver that haven't been serviced in months.
Massive hours-long lines in downtown Portland where, rideshare drivers are basically fighting over a single functional DC fast charger.
And then there's ICing.
Oh, ICing. Yeah, when a massive internal combustion engine vehicle, a gas-powered truck or SUV, just parks right across the designated EV spots.
Sometimes it's intentional, to be hostile. Sometimes it's just pure obliviousness.
Yeah.
But the result is exactly the same. The infrastructure is rendered completely useless.
And the margin for error is non-existent. I compare relying on public EV infrastructure right now to a super stressful game of musical chairs.
That's a good way to put it.
Except half the chairs are broken, and someone put a gas-guzzling truck on the remaining ones.
Yeah, and you can't just keep walking around the circle.
Right, but let me push back for a second, because look at any major city's map right now. There are little charging icons everywhere, right? Grocery stores, parking garages, movie theaters.
Sure, on the map.
So why can't a stranded driver just, open their phone, find the next nearest icon, and limp the extra 2 miles down the road? Why does this company treat a dead charger like a fatal blow?
Well, it really comes down to the chemical thermodynamics of the battery cells. And, importantly, how the car's computer reacts to stress.
Okay, unpack that.
So when your gas light comes on in a combustion engine, you usually have, 30 to 40 miles of grace period?
Yeah, at least.
And the engine performs exactly the same until the very last drop of fuel is gone. But an EV battery is a living chemical system.
Right.
In cold, wet weather, like a 35-degree Portland rainstorm, the liquid electrolyte inside the lithium-ion cells becomes highly viscous.
It gets thick.
Exactly. The lithium ions simply cannot move as efficiently between the anode and the cathode, and this dramatically increases the internal resistance of the battery.
So the battery's having to work twice as hard just to push the exact same amount of power out to the wheels.
Exactly. And the battery management system, the BMS, knows this. Its primary directive is to protect those cells from permanent degradation.
It's trying to save itself.
Right. So when the state of charge drops to those single digits
Mm-hmm.
and the temperature is near freezing, the BMS starts throwing up firewalls. It will drastically throttle the power output.
Oh, wow.
Furthermore, if you are running the cabin heater, which in many cars relies on a resistive heater that draws massive amounts of raw power, the remaining range estimation on your dashboard can just collapse instantaneously.
So you think you have 10 miles of range based on what the screen said 5 minutes ago, but the moment you ask the car to keep you warm and push through the freezing rain, that 10 miles just evaporates into 2 miles.
Precisely. The moment that estimated range drops off a cliff, you do not have the physical capacity to navigate to another station across town, especially knowing there's a high statistical probability that the next station might also be broken.
Or occupied or blocked.
Right. You are immobilized. You are trapped in that charging desert. And those traditional map apps become completely useless because they are offering solutions that require you to move.
Which is the one thing you cannot do.
Exactly.
So you lose that game of musical chairs. Your vehicle effectively becomes a 5,000-pound brick. And this company recognized that the only way to solve this specific localized paralysis is to completely invert the infrastructure model.
Right. Instead of forcing the dying vehicle to travel to the energy source.
They put the energy source on wheels and dispatch it directly to the vehicle. They are acting as the ultimate fail-safe for a brittle grid.
And that fail-safe is crucial because of what happens if you don't use them.
Right, which brings us to the next massive issue. So you hit absolute zero, the car bricks itself in that dark parking lot. For the last 100 years, the immediate, ingrained human instinct in this scenario has been to pick up the phone and call a tow truck.
Which is a terrible idea for an EV.
As these operational documents reveal, that century-old instinct is actually the fastest way to completely destroy an electric vehicle.
This is where the landscape shifts from, a frustrating logistical inconvenience into a realm of extreme mechanical and financial hazard.
The documents heavily emphasize what they call the predatory towing scam and the price trap.
Yeah, but the most critical aspect they're warning against is the physical risk to the drivetrain.
I mean, if you are stranded in an old Honda Civic, a guy in a tow truck rolls up, hooks up the front tires, lifts the car at an angle, and drags you away down the highway. You don't even think twice about it.
No, it's standard procedure.
But the strategy notes explicitly name Tesla's, Rivian's, and other modern EVs, issuing this massive warning that if a standard tow truck attempts to drag an EV like that, it can severely damage the drivetrain.
Oh, it will completely void the manufacturer's warranty.
And result in repair bills running into the tens of thousands of dollars. But wait, why? I mean, so I can't just have my EV hooked up and towed like the old Civic I used to drive?
You absolutely cannot. To understand why it's so catastrophic, you really have to look at the physics of how electric motors actually function.
Okay, lay it on me.
So most modern EVs utilize permanent magnet synchronous motors. The key phrase there is permanent magnet.
Okay.
In a traditional gas car, you shift into neutral. That physically disconnects the engine from the wheels via the transmission. The wheels can spin freely all day long, and the engine remains completely dormant.
All right, they are physically separated.
But an electric motor is directly linked to the wheels. There is no traditional gearbox disconnecting them.
So the rotor inside the electric motor is physically geared to the axles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because it has permanent magnets on it, whenever the wheels turn, the rotor turns, period.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. According to Faraday's law of induction, when you move a magnetic field past the copper coils in the stator, you generate an electrical voltage. The motor essentially becomes a giant electrical generator.
Which is exactly how regenerative braking works, right? When you take your foot off the accelerator, the car uses that generated power to slow the vehicle down and feed energy back into the battery.
Exactly. Under normal operating conditions, the car's computer carefully manages that generated voltage, converting it safely back into chemical energy in the battery.
But when the car is dead,
When it's dead, shut off, and being dragged blindly down the road by a tow truck, The high-voltage contactors, the heavy-duty relays that connect the battery to the rest of the car, are physically locked open to ensure safety.
So the battery is completely isolated.
Yes. So it's like trying to force a massive volume of water backward through a plumbing system where the main valve is welded shut.
That is a terrifying visual.
Right. The tow truck is dragging the car at 40 miles an hour. The wheels are spinning furiously. The motor is acting as a massive generator, pumping high-voltage electricity backward into the system.
But the valve to the battery reservoir is closed.
Exactly. That raw, unregulated electrical pressure has absolutely nowhere to go, so it backs up into the inverter.
The sensitive electronic brain that manages the motor.
Right. And the voltage spikes so high that it exceeds the breakdown limits of the silicon components. It literally melts the circuitry from the inside out.
It just fries the brain of the car, all because a tow truck driver treated it like a 1998 Ford Taurus.
And the towing industry, by and large, is still built on a legacy model optimized for volume and speed. They want to show up, hook the front wheels, and be off the shoulder in 2 minutes flat.
But to properly tow a dead EV, you absolutely must use a flatbed truck, right?
Yeah.
Ensuring all four wheels are completely stationary.
Yes, but here's the catch. If the EV is completely dead, the parking brake is often electronically locked. The car won't roll.
Wait, really? So how do they even get a dead locked EV onto a flatbed truck without dragging the locked wheels and ruining the tires? Or worse, the motor?
It requires the tow operator to manually jack up the car, place specialized mechanical skates under all four tires, and then carefully winch a 5,000-pound inert block of metal up a steep ramp.
That sounds incredibly time-consuming.
It is. It's time-consuming, highly dangerous on a busy road, and vastly more expensive to dispatch.
Which brings us right into the economic reality of the price trap these documents talk about. You aren't just calling for a tow, you are calling for a specialized flatbed, which might take hours to arrive at 2 a.m.
And you are paying a massive premium for that complex loading process.
And where are they taking you? They aren't taking you home. They have to drop you at a public charger, where you then have to sit and wait to charge.
Or they drop you at a dealership lot where the car sits untouched until Monday morning.
And you get hit with a diagnostic fee just for them to plug it in. The compounding financial penalty is staggering. You are paying to be transported to a place where you then have to pay again just to resolve the original lack of energy?
This is the absolute genius of the mobile rescue strategy outlined in the company's SEO and marketing documents. They market themselves heavily with the phrase, "Don't get towed, get charged."
It is such a brilliant distillation of the problem. You completely bypass the middleman. You bypass the risk of frying your inverter. You bypass the specialized flatbed skates.
The car's wheels literally do not move an inch.
You are just having a massive power bank driven directly to your coordinates.
It takes a terrifying high-stakes mechanical and logistical nightmare and reduces it back down to a simple, localized transaction of energy delivery.
They aren't just selling electrons, they are selling risk mitigation. They are protecting the most expensive components of the vehicle from the antiquated practices of the traditional roadside assistance industry.
Exactly.
Okay, so you bypass the tow truck, you get this mobile power bank sent to you, but who is actually making that call and where are they sitting when they make it? Because the marketing strategy notes paint a very vivid, highly specific picture of where these rescues are taking place.
Yeah, they aren't just casting a wide net.
No, they are targeting the exact geographical locations where driver anxiety hits its absolute peak, high-stakes geography.
The situational targeting in their SEO and social strategy is remarkable. They understand that location completely alters the psychological and physical stakes of a dead battery.
The documents specifically highlight highway emergencies. They explicitly call out Interstate 5. They point out that running out of juice on the shoulder of I-5 in the rain is not just an inconvenience. It is an acute, life-threatening situation.
A highway shoulder, particularly on a major freight corridor like I-5, is an inherently hostile environment.
Oh, completely.
From a physics and safety perspective, every single minute spent stationary within feet of vehicles traveling at 70 miles an hour increases your statistical probability of a catastrophic collision.
Right.
There is a psychological phenomenon called target fixation, where tired or distracted drivers will subconsciously steer toward a stationary object on the shoulder simply because they are looking at it.
So you have semi-trucks blasting you with wake turbulence, the rain is destroying visibility, and you are trapped in a dead car that can't even turn its hazard lights on if the low-voltage battery has also died.
It's a nightmare. You don't need a charge tomorrow. You need a rapid response team to inject power into the car so you can get back into the flow of traffic immediately.
Precisely. They are leveraging the physical urgency of the highway environment. But then, the strategy documents pivot to a completely different type of crisis, the PDX airport panic.
Oh, this one is so relatable, it almost hurts to read.
Imagine you are arriving back at Portland International after a brutal week-long business trip, or maybe a chaotic family vacation with screaming kids.
You finally get off the plane.
You wait an eternity at baggage claim,
Yeah.
drag everything onto the freezing parking shuttle. You finally get to your car in the long-term economy lot, and the battery is completely dead.
The strategy notes refer to those airport parking garages as ultimate charging deserts. Even if there are a handful of chargers installed, they're almost universally occupied by vehicles that have been parked there for days.
But wait, why would the car be dead if you parked it with a 20% charge? Wouldn't it just sit there and retain its power?
Well, this is a crucial quirk of modern electric vehicles. It's often referred to as phantom drain or vampire drain.
Right.
An EV is never truly off. It is constantly running background tasks. It is pinging cellular networks to check for software updates. It might be running security systems, like Tesla's Sentry mode, which uses an array of cameras to monitor the environment.
And that uses significant power.
Exactly. But most importantly, the battery management system is actively monitoring cell temperatures. If it gets too cold in that parking garage, the car will literally wake itself up and expend battery power to heat the coolant loop and keep the battery cells from sustaining cold weather damage.
So your car is sitting there for 7 days, slowly cannibalizing its own battery just to stay warm and keep its cameras rolling. And by the time you land, it has flatlined.
Exactly. And the psychological contrast between the I-5 emergency and the PDX emergency is brilliant from a marketing standpoint.
How so?
Well, on I-5, your adrenaline is pumping. You are in physical danger. At PDX, there is no physical danger. The car is safely parked. But the psychological breaking point is entirely different.
Oh, yeah. You are jet-lagged, you are exhausted, your patience is entirely gone. The thought of dealing with a tow truck dispatcher, figuring out how to get a flatbed into a low-clearance airport parking structure, and then taking a separate Uber to a dealership, I mean, it is the absolute last thing you are capable of handling.
Right. When you analyze the psychology of the consumer in that moment, the company's social strategy is executing a masterclass in situational positioning. In the PDX parking garage, they are no longer selling electricity.
Because electricity is a cheap, commoditized utility. You can buy a kilowatt hour of electricity at your house for 12 cents.
Right. If they were just selling electricity, nobody would pay the premium. What they're actually selling is time, sanity, and the total removal of friction.
Exactly. By explicitly naming I-5 and PDX in their SEO materials, they are anchoring their service to your most vivid what-if nightmares.
When a driver reads the section about the airport, they instantly, viscerally recall the exhaustion of a late-night arrival.
The company positions its always-on 24/7 service as the bespoke antidote to those specific fears. They aren't saying, we have a portable generator. They are saying, we will come deep into the economy lot at midnight, plug into your car while you sit in the heated cab of our rescue truck, and give you exactly enough range to go sleep in your own bed.
It strips away all the variables. The dealerships are closed. The chargers are broken. The tow trucks won't fit in the garage. You are alone. But this 503 hotline is the single beacon of reliability left.
It's powerful messaging. Okay, so far we've been looking at this purely from the perspective of personal anxiety, right? Protecting the family car, getting home from the airport. But these operational notes reveal a whole other layer to this puzzle.
Yes, the commercial side.
Exactly, and it is entirely driven by a different kind of desperation. We are talking about the commercial hustle. Local delivery fleets, Uber, and Lyft. This was a huge focus in their SEO and social strategy section.
This is where the conversation abruptly shifts from emotional relief and safety into pure, cold, calculating macroeconomics.
Because what happens when your electric vehicle isn't just a way to commute to the office, but is actually the core engine of your livelihood. The strategy notes outline a highly aggressive, dedicated pitch for Portland area businesses, electric Amazon delivery vans, and the massive gig economy workforce.
The fundamental argument they make to these drivers is brutal, but undeniably true. If you're not driving, you're losing money.
For a commercial driver, a dead battery or even a low battery that forces them offline to hunt for a charger isn't just an inconvenience. It is a direct, measurable hit to their daily revenue stream.
The mobile service positions itself as a secret weapon for Pacific Northwest professional drivers.
They're essentially telling Uber and Lyft drivers, Look, instead of logging off the app, driving 20 minutes out of your way to a public supercharger, and then sitting in line for an hour just waiting for a plug to open up to keep your app on.
Right. Take your mandatory lunch break wherever you happen to be, call us, and we will come rapidly charge your car right there in the street.
It is entirely designed to maximize uptime. But let's run the numbers on that opportunity cost, because a mobile rescue service is, by definition, a premium product.
It definitely is. They are driving a specialized commercial truck carrying a massive heavy battery bank directly to your GPS coordinates. They are going to charge a premium fee for that.
Right, so how does an Uber driver who is already operating on incredibly thin, algorithmically suppressed profit margins justify paying a premium for mobile charging instead of just going to a regular station?
It comes down to understanding surge pricing and the value of an hour. Let's say it is a Friday night in Portland. It's raining, people are leaving bars and restaurants, and demand for rides is peaking. An Uber driver might be pulling in $40 or $50 an hour during that surge window.
But right in the middle of the surge, their battery drops to 10%.
Exactly. If they go to a public fast charger downtown, they might find a queue of 5 other rideshare drivers already waiting.
Because everyone else's battery got low at the same time.
Right. By the time they wait in line, plug in and charge the vehicle up to 80%. Because charging speeds slow down dramatically past 80% to protect the battery. They have been offline for an hour and a half.
So they just lost $75 in guaranteed wages, plus the cost of the electricity at the public charger, which during peak hours can be highly elevated.
Now compare that to the mobile charging model. The driver pulls over in a safe area right where they are, calls the service, and takes their break. The mobile unit arrives and pumps high-speed DC power directly into the car.
They might pay an $80 or $100 premium for the service.
Sure, but the vehicle never leaves its operational zone, and the driver is back online within 30 minutes, right as the surge pricing hits its absolute peak.
It is the ultimate time is money equation. I look at it exactly like a pit stop in Formula One race.
Oh, it's a great analogy.
When a driver pulls into the pit lane, the crew isn't just casually fueling up the car and checking the tire pressure while the driver relaxes. The entire operation is a frenetic, highly engineered process designed to get that car back onto the track as violently fast as physically possible.
Because in a race, every single second you are sitting still in the pits is a second that your competitors are passing you on the track. It's costing you the win.
Exactly. In the commercial gig economy, the drivers are the racers, the surge pricing window is the track, and the public charging station is a disorganized, overcrowded pit lane where the crew is asleep.
That is a phenomenal way to contextualize it. And it's not just gig workers. For a last-mile delivery van with 50 packages left in the back, sitting in a broken public charger isn't just costing the driver's time.
No, it is causing a cascading failure across the entire logistics chain.
Let's expand on the delivery fleet scenario, because the social strategy documents highlight local Portland businesses heavily.
Okay, give me an example.
Imagine a local florist operating an electric delivery van. That's Valentine's Day, right? Their busiest day of the year. The van is loaded with thousands of dollars of perishable product.
High stakes.
The routing software, which is supposed to optimize the delivery path and account for charging, encounters an error. A planned public charger is completely dead due to vandalism. The van runs out of power halfway through the route.
Complete disaster.
An unmitigated disaster. If that florist calls a traditional flatbed tow truck, it might cost $300 to $400 and take 3 hours just to get the van to a functional charger, plus the time to actually charge it.
By the time the van is moving again, the workday is over, the deliveries are missed, the customers are furious, and the perishable product is ruined.
The total cost of that dead battery isn't just a tow fee. It is thousands of dollars in lost revenue and massive reputational damage.
But if they use the mobile charging secret weapon, the van receives a burst of power right there on the delivery route.
The driver doesn't even unload the van. The cost of the mobile charge is absorbed immediately by the catastrophic losses that were prevented.
The company is actively reframing the very nature of their service based on the target customer. For the stranded family in the dark at 2 a.m., they are selling an emergency emotional lifeline.
But for the commercial fleets and the gig workers, they are positioning their service as a calculated, strategic business tool.
They are arguing that paying a premium for mobile power is actually an investment that protects your profit margins by keeping your wheels moving during peak earning hours.
And in a highly competitive, algorithmically driven gig economy, the driver with the highest uptime wins the lion's share of the revenue.
This has been such an incredible journey through these strategy documents. I mean, we really started in the mud, looking at the darkest, rainiest charging deserts of Portland and Vancouver, unpacking the sheer, paralyzing panic of a dead battery when the public infrastructure completely fails you.
We examined the physical realities of the battery under cold weather stress, and then moved through the very real, catastrophic mechanical dangers of the traditional towing industry.
We saw how a legacy flatbed model is fundamentally incompatible with the complex electronics of a modern permanent magnet motor, and how don't get towed, get charged is actually a mechanical imperative.
We saw how surgically they target the high-stakes geography through their SEO. Understanding the difference between the physical, immediate danger of being stuck on the shoulder of Interstate 5 versus the psychological, exhausted breaking point of returning to a dead car in the PDX airport parking garage.
Ending with the harsh, calculating macroeconomics of the delivery fleets and the gig economy, where time offline literally equals money burned, and how a premium mobile charge acts as a pit stop to keep professional drivers in the race.
These internal notes reveal something incredibly profound about where we are as a society right now. They show us just how crucial mobile, direct power solutions are. They're acting as the physical bridge over the massive, glaring gaps in our current infrastructure.
So, what does this all mean for the future of how we drive?
That is the ultimate question this deep dive leaves us with. We're in a transitional epoch. As electric vehicles continue to evolve and become the absolute mandated norm on our roads, we have to seriously question the trajectory of these mobile rescue services.
Right now, they are filling an acute infrastructural void.
But looking forward, will on-demand mobile charging become a permanent, premium convenience in our gig economy? Will it become completely normalized, just like ordering a meal on DoorDash or a ride on Uber, but for electricity?
Or are these mobile rescue companies just a highly lucrative temporary band-aid holding us over for the next decade until the physical stationary grid finally catches up, battery densities double, and charging anxiety becomes a quaint relic of the past? A temporary infrastructural band-aid or the completely new normal of premium automotive convenience? That is a fascinating thought to leave you with. Next time you see an electric vehicle parked on a dark, rainy street, or you see a delivery van pulled over on the shoulder, you will definitely look at the invisible forces surrounding it a little differently. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next deep dive.